Update 2, I, 37M, told cheating ex-wife 37F no when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, 15F. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. So it has been a few months since I made this post and I receive at least 5 to 10 messages a week for an update. So here it is. I will try and do this in one post but might have to do 2 separate posts to make it fit. So, after my last post I decided to schedule an appointment with a 2 separate therapist who specializes in marriage and family counseling after divorce. I saw these 2 therapists over the course of 5 months. I did 5 sessions with each therapist, 1 woman and 1 male. In the sessions, I went over all my issues I dealt with my ex-wife and the current dynamics we have in a place now. I showed both therapists my Reddit post and wanted truly 2 non-biased opinions from 2 professionals of the opposite sex. The advice they both gave me provided the contrast I needed to make necessary changes if any in my life. Those session for another thread. The first thing I did was invite my ex-wife to join me in 3 planned therapy consultations in which I would pay for. The goals were simple. First, create avenue for my ex-wife to start speaking with a professional instead of our daughter about our issues. Second, give her closure, not forgiveness, but an opportunity to give her any answers she may need to recovery and be a better mother and person to our shared child. Last, build and commit to a plan that we will follow on how we will deal with parenting our daughter and behave at shared life events. She accepted my offer. First session. The first session was all about sharing our POV on the current state of our lives, and what we both want for our daughter. I shared that I am currently enjoying my life as my professional and personal life are flourishing in the sense that I have achieved balance, joy, and core life goals and accomplishments are being met. For my daughter, I shared that my goal is to ensure that she is happy, enjoys her childhood, loved, and understands the value of self-respect and commitment to core values. I always share with her that everyone loves to believe that they are exceptions to the rules, but sometimes following the rules are what makes a person exceptional. Having a clear sense of what is right and wrong and behaving in that fashion is very important to who you are. I shared my biggest regret in life would be if my daughter turned out like how her mother used to be 7 to 8 years ago. It was brutal saying this in the session. But I truly believe and fear this. Ex-wife then shares the current state of her life. She is very passionate about her career, interior-exterior designer, she quite literally turns houses into homes. She shares that she is currently working on herself because her past few relationships ended poorly because her baggage from our marriage and divorce has made her very afraid of commitment. She also wants our daughter to be happy, loved, and a hard worker. She responded to my comment about me being afraid of my daughter turning out like how she was 7 years ago. She said her pride was hurt by that comment, but years of therapy help her realize she must accept that her actions of the past have warranted that kind of comment from me. She said she knows our daughter does not want to be like her because our daughter has asked her many times besides cheating on dad, what is the real reason why he will never forgive you? She said people cheat and get divorced all the time and they are still friends. However, dad truly thinks you're a bad person, but a good mom. For years she thought I was poisoning our daughter against her, but quickly realized it was just her own guilt eating her away. The session ended quickly after that. Second session. This session my ex-wife asked a lot of questions. I mean a lot. Nevertheless, I answered all of them honestly and bluntly. The 3 main questions she asked were the following. 1. How did I heal from the wounds that she caused, and what advice could I give her as she is still trying to heal from the wounds she caused herself? I explained that the damage she caused wasn't like a stab or a cut wound that you could stitch back together. I said her damage was more like she amputated a limb from my body. My recovery wasn't focused on healing, but rather on how to walk, lift, or learn how to eat with my feet because I no longer had hands. I recovered from what she did by reteaching myself how to not be defined by my disability, become a victim, but more importantly gaining strength from it. I ended by saying I am still recovering, there is no healing this wound, the leg is gone. I said my advice to her would be do not amputate your next partner. Stop focusing on healing and starting prioritizing recovering from the damage you caused. Some things cannot be fixed, but they can sometimes be replaced, or provide life lesson on how to behave in the future. 2. How can she replace what she has broken? I reply by giving an analogy. When a woman has a miscarriage, she doesn't replace the child she has lost when she has another baby. She values the life of the child she is because she knows what it is like to lose a child or not have a child at all. She doesn't replace what she has lost, she has to use her previous loss as a vehicle to find love in what she is now. I reiterated that she cannot replace or fix this. Her actions are permanent and cannot be undone. She must recover and use her experience to be better next time. 3. Is there anything she could do to allow us to be friends again? I replied by saying no. However, her being a great mother to our daughter and showing her how to recover from making the mistakes she made in her past would go a long way in making sure our shared interest is met. I explained there is no scenario in which I can give you forgiveness, because it is not a gift I can give. This gift must come from yourself. I cannot be responsible for your happiness or forgiveness. 4. Would you allow me to keep trying? I respond sure. Last session. In the last session we made 2 major agreements. 1. We came to an agreement that I would allow her to contact me outside of emergency if she agreed to not speak about our relationship with our daughter. Please let her be a kid. She can call me directly if she wants to coordinate vacations, holidays, or gifts. 2. I will agree to do 1 counseling session a year with her until our daughter is married or graduates from college. The goal is the session is to build a stronger co-parent relationship and ensure we are not letting our past ruin share experiences with our daughter. Overall, it has been 3 months since our last session, and I believe that I did what was in the most important immediate need for child, which was ensure she does not feel she is responsible for me and her mother's happiness when it come to her life. She is back to being a now 16-year-old teenager, worrying about boys, clothes, and social status. Which I am perfectly happy to deal with. As for my ex-wife, that is a whole another thread. He loves her deeply still, I know. She got into a car accident earlier this year and broke her leg, her femur specifically. I didn't think to connect his moodiness and general upset with that until now. She could have died in the crash. My illness is a reminder to him of how fragile life is and that she could have died and she could still die purely due to chance. You are the main character in your own life. It's funny because when I'm alone I feel normal, and when I'm amongst strangers and acquaintances I feel normal, but when I'm with anyone else I actually know, I've already been relegated to the background. My therapist said that my lack of emotional demands, or what she calls reciprocal emotion or behavior, means that I attract those who don't care to reciprocate. We've touched on it, but we haven't worked through this yet, a lot of other things to tackle. If he's offering, let him help you. I genuinely can't think of anything for him to help with. It just so happens that I'm good with planning and executing tasks, so I have a handle on things. On the flip side, I'm not creative or imaginative. I know I'm being blasé, but it's not as if I'm hiding how I truly feel. It's unfortunate that I have an illness, but I don't feel upset or scared. What happens will happen. I don't know what my husband could help with. I've handled everything. I've even set up plans in case I do get hospitalized. I don't think I've relegated my husband to the sidelines. I made a ton of dumplings and other food and stored them in the freezer so that if I'm hospitalized he'll eat something nutritious instead of takeout. He can cook, he just doesn't like it and won't do it unless he had to. I have always centered people around me. Maybe that's why I feel like filler. The past week has been a roller coaster of emotion for me. My therapist had suggested that I write my thoughts and emotions in a journal, but I always convinced myself there wasn't enough time in a day. Writing that post made me realize that I was dealing with a lot of emotions that I suppressed. I did resent the people in my life who just took and took without giving back. I had told nobody besides my therapist about how much I feel like a ghost of a person and how I pushed things down and never complained. So I spent hours writing down my thoughts in a diary. I realized that I needed to be more honest and stop tiptoeing around people to make them comfortable. I told my husband that I knew about his past with his ex-girlfriend. I knew that they had unresolved feelings and he needed closure about her and their relationship. He kept checking her social media throughout the years, but it intensified this year after she was in the car accident. He was shocked that I knew. I encouraged him to reach out and get that closure he wanted. We had a good conversation. He hugged me and reached out to her pretty much immediately. I think he was waiting for that push from someone. He was so happy after the conversations they had, he was glowing. She's apparently coming to our city in a month and they'll meet in person. He's been more affectionate and genuinely lighter, like there's a weight off his chest. I went through the motions of life. I started ignoring calls from my parents. I didn't want to help out anymore. I was too tired. My mom called and said I was being arrogant and moving away from family before asking me to help with something. I didn't reach out to my friends. I have only a few and we would text every day. I realized we texted because I always reached out. I told someone else about my diagnosis. My neighbor Nancy is a woman in her late 70s. She's one of the few people I feel seen by. She cares about me, and if I had told her about my health issues she would have told me to go to the ER. I know why I didn't tell her, but I wonder why I hope for care from people who have demonstrated no care for me instead of those that do. She was so worried for me. We had planned a fun day trip to see a flower festival next spring. I drove home on my first week of the second cycle and for the first time I was exhausted. I had to pull over and rest for an hour before I felt well enough to finish driving home. I was so exhausted I didn't want to move and I sat on my driveway. It hit me then that I didn't have NSCLC stage 2A. I had lung cancer. I could die. I just started sobbing. All I could think of was the stupid flower festival. I haven't lived my life. I love my husband, my family, my friends. But I don't want to be married to him, I don't want to cater to my family, and I'm tired of my friends. I want to live. I want to be well enough to drive and see the flower festival with Nancy. It's only been a week and a half of change and my emotions have gone from low to really high and back low. I've been dreaming of my life after I beat cancer and leave my husband and friends. I don't even know if I can stick with it, but I am determined to be strong. My therapist says change from within can start small or big. She's proud of me and thinks I can get through this. Head office was no help and informed me that they had revised their policy and that it was not covered. I asked when the policy was revised. They informed me a month prior. I informed them the surgery was done 5 months prior and we had all the documentations. They claimed that it was 12 months retrospective. I inquired why I was not informed of it since this was big news, and I have held policies with them and they told me that they had informed their large clients and would inform the other clients when their insurances were due for renewal. I demanded to speak to their boss, company vice president, since the CEO was not around, and they boldly told me he had no time for me and frankly that, in verbatim, we are a large company and have no time to argue semantics with low-end clients. If you don't like it, you can frankly leave and find a new insurance company. The revenge, if I had been initially pissed, I was full-blown mad. I was livid and filled with rage. In all my years I may have experienced some disrespect and I accepted it not to make problems, but this time it went too far. I decided in the heat of the moment to switch everything and be done with them. I flew back home and just plain went to the hospital and settled the bill in full and took the receipt to my employee, who initially insisted that she would do anything to pay me back, but I refused since it was no way her fault and I'll be damned if she pays for something that was way out of her control. I had a few days to cool down and talk with my directors. The words still etched on my mind. I asked how long it would take us to switch to another insurance. They went ahead and checked out a few large rivals of the insurance we had and discovered that if we switched it would take 6 months for the new insurance to provide full coverage. The firm we picked, who I'll call New Insurance, offered us a way better deal to the one we had, and not only comprehensive cover, dental and optical, they also included mental health cover, physiotherapy and occupational therapy cover, rehabilitative services, mobility device acquisition, prosthetics and wheelchairs for some of the disabled employees, smart cards for direct payment on outpatient visits, kind of like a debit card, and a dedicated team of relationship managers, death and funeral benefits, and an expanded coverage area plus up to 6 dependents plus spouse cover. It would cost me a little more, but I didn't really care. The people who dealt with us from our previous insurance, who I'll call Old Insurance, seemed unfazed that I was pulling my company from them, since they thought it was just a small business. They looked puzzled when I came in with several people and a few boxes of documents. What they failed to realize was that apart from that one business, which is a restaurant, I have 3 popular bars, a cab company, a hotel resort, cleaning service chain, a building and residential guard service, and several rental buildings in the town and around the country. Their shock was compounded when they were informed by the lawyer just who I am, and the shock, awe, confusion and panic when they heard my family name was an extremely satisfying sight. Cue the pleading and attempted negotiations and apologies. It was so big that the news reached their head office, who sent not only their director, the one who was apparently too big to see me, but also their chief legal officer, chief financial officer, and president of the company. I somehow also earned a personalized call from their CEO, who was abroad. No amount of sweet talking was changing my mind, and by the end of 6 weeks we had completely removed ourselves from the Old Insurance. It was now a waiting game to the beginning of the New Insurance cover, and we really hoped that no one would become unwell by that time, but we were ready just in case. In that waiting time, and after the New Insurance commenced, I talked to my friends and my family on one of my holiday visits. My older brother's kids adore me, and my family kind of realized they were a-holes to me and are trying to re-enter my life, and thought that was that. Aftermath: my friends and family took my words and also pulled their businesses from the insurance to other insurances. The company took such a huge hit, and when COVID came around and was a big deal, they were barely floating. They went into receivership soon after and were acquired by the insurance I had moved to, who happened to be their greatest rivals. The directors and CEO were given their golden parachutes and resigned, and most of their employees were luckily retained, apart from the senior executives, including the ones who told my manager to buzz off. In a cruel twist of irony, the building they were operating on in our town was sold, and if you guessed I purchased it, you would be absolutely correct. I decided to remodel the inside and turn it to a business rental space. All in all, it was a bit of a sweet payback, and wherever they are, I hope those disrespectful guys learn that everyone is human and they are not above anyone, and remember that karma is a cold and heartless witch. Edit to add: my goodness, this post has blown up. I have gotten some awards and I'm grateful for it. Some of your comments have me silently chuckling to myself. I'm happy I made your day and hope you get bosses who understand, or you become an understanding boss yourself. In my post I realized I said that my employee applied for leave, which we rejected since it fell under the scope of medical leave. What I meant was I rejected her request for normal leave days since I wanted her to utilize the unhindered medical leave days, since I did not know how long recovery would take, and I wanted her to keep earning her salary even as she rested. As for my English, I was sent to an English-speaking country for college where my limited English was expanded, and it's my 3rd language, with me counting the 2 local languages I know. Thank you again and have a great day, afternoon, morning or night depending on where you are from. 3. I would not be lonely during the day because I would have kids to play with. 4. It would be a nice thing to do for a single mom who is struggling with a situation right now. All really interesting points. That have absolutely no impact on me. Arts and crafts with the kiddies? Are you for real? I don't do arts and crafts, I sell art for a living. I'm not a freaking Michaels. The kids can't help, I don't want them to, and my studio some days are a full-on wreck. I don't even let the cats in there on those days. Plus, single mommy with 3 kids is driving a new BMW. Perhaps she should have gotten a more economic car and a professional nanny. I reminded them all that if it was so easy to do this one thing, then they too can get the kids from the camp. Hell, park in my dang driveway if you need be, ladies. Then they can walk in and grab the kids. Take them home and do arts and crafts. Plus, friend of a friend will pay them $20 for their trouble. Not sure if that's for the week or per day, but who cares? It's like printing money at that point. All they have to do is provide the snacks and wait for her to claim the kids. Also, truly funny reply, but still not getting a laugh from the mommy group. In fact, I only got stunned silence and I think cricket sounds. I'm just not hitting my target audience with this humor. Welp, it took a while for friend of a friend to see that I'm not willing to provide childcare for free, for the $20, or for the sake of the village. I also pointed out that my idea of juice boxes is a Franzia refreshing white carton. And my idea of a snack is waiting until dinner. All points she finds to be unhelpful and not practical. Sadly, friend of a friend mommy is still racing to get her kids from the camp. Turns out the mommy group folks are just too busy to fetch the kiddies for her too. Bummer, I know. I thought it would be so easy for them. Since they had made such good points about picking them up. Life moves on, camp is still swinging, the parade of cars grows longer and slower every day. Then today this happened. I am inside my house sitting on my couch binging the good, the bad and the ugly of street food vendors on YouTube. I hurt my back, so I'm leaning on a heating pad. You can see me from my living room window if you are on the parade of cars picking up their kids from the camp. My feet up on the coffee table, my cats are on porch, my juice box haha Franzia is to the right of me. Just then, I get an angry text on my phone. I thought you said you were working? Too busy to get kids. Looks you're just sitting there doing nothing but watch TV. What the hell is the matter with you? Why can't you be a better friend? OMG. It's friend of a friend. Neato. To which I answer. I am working, I'm on my iPad drawing. I am an artist, I can do that. Gee. Ain't my work grand? I am too busy to get your kids. It looks like I'm watching TV because I'm watching TV. YouTube, dancing bacons, street fair in Malaysia, cool. I highly recommend if you ever get second to yourself. I hurt my back, so that's what the hell is wrong with me, thanks for asking. And I can't be a better friend because I don't want to pick up your kids. I feel like if we got closer and communicated more I would be obligated to fetch your babies. You do see how my way is more convenient. For me. Her, those blasted dancing ... things on the text chat. Me, are you sitting in the car outside my house right now? Her, slight pause. Yes. Me, turns around slowly, big old wine glass in my hand. I smile, I wink. I lift the glass. I text, cheers. God, if only I had some pot to light up, now that would have been perfect. She was not amused. Still no laughs. I think I'm losing my touch? Are you laughing, dear reader? Yes, she does know I'm on Reddit. Hi. If you're reading this. Thanks for making me laugh today.